I used to be a Longhorn, so hey, Mr. Science, how you doing? Competitive nature, you know, we never played Carrizo in football, but I heard they had a cool quarterback a while back named Louis Science here, so little boy. But anyway, I'll let Gordon take it from here, man.
And before I get started, I wanted the commissioner to say a few welcoming remarks to everybody.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Right on time. Welcome to Congressman Hurd, and we appreciate you being here, and welcome to everybody that's here today. It's important that the Congressman hears from all of us, and we're real appreciative that you took the time to be here with us. I know there's a lot of concerns. People want to talk to you about different things. But again, thanks to everybody for being here, and be sure to share whatever concerns you have with Congressman Hurd right now. Let him know what you're concerned about, what you would like for him to work on for us, and take it from there. Again, thanks. I'm glad to see the interest here because the Congressman is here to hear us. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you, sir. And you're right, I'm here to hear from y'all. Right? And what I was going to do is talk a little about my background, some of the things that is going on in DC, and then get y'all's take some questions from y'all. And if some people have some private questions, we can take them when we're done here. But first, help me thanking Dairy Queen for letting us host this year. Yeah. Thank you, Dairy Queen. So buy a lot of Blizzards and dip cones and belt busters. This is, what stop are we on, Tyler? This is stop 10 on a 25 city stop. That's a lot of Blizzards. Thank God they have a mini now, because I wouldn't fit in my pants. But look, y'all know me. I've been here a number of times. I remember, you know, when we were coming in here, it's my chief of staff's first time here. I was showing him the HEB because to me, the first time I came here, he took me to the old HEB. And it looked like it was an HEB in Russia, with nothing on the shelves, right? And to see how the community has been transformed has been interesting. I grew up in San Antonio, born and raised, a town called Leon Valley, it's inside San Antonio, John Marshall High School. Then went to Texas A&M, got a degree in computer science. Yeah, Giga Maggies. I had the honor of serving as student body president the year the bonfire collapsed, and because of that experience, I'm one of the few Aggies that doesn't refer to University of Texas as TU, partly because what the University of Texas did in response to that was unbelievable. And when I graduated at 22, I started in the CIA. So I was the guy in the back alleys at 4 o'clock in the morning collecting intelligence on threats to our homeland. It was a fantastic job. My first 2 years was in Washington, D.C., primarily for training at what I used to call the super secret CIA training facility called the Farm. Now it's on Google Maps. I did 2 years. I did 2 years in India, 2 years in Pakistan, 2 years in New York City doing interagency work, and a year and a half in Afghanistan where I managed all of our undercover operations. It was a fantastic job, and in addition to collecting intelligence, I had to brief members of Congress. And I was pretty shocked by the caliber of our elected officials. And my mama said, you're either part of the problem, part of the solution. And so I decided to leave Kabul, Afghanistan, move to Helotes, Texas, and run for Congress. Growing up in Leon Valley, there's 2 places I never thought I'd live: Afghanistan and Helotes. And it's great being part of that community. And when I ran the first time, I lost. And now I'm thankful for that, because I had the opportunity to be a partner in a consulting firm, help start a cybersecurity company from scratch. And the experiences I gained in those years were so important to help me inform my decision making when I'm in Washington. I know what it's like to start a company from scratch, right? And so the proverbial 2 guys or 2 gals in a garage, they shouldn't have to be worrying about complicated tax code when they're starting their business. They should be worrying about, how do I provide a better widget? How do I provide a better service? How do I attract the best talent? Those are the concerns that business person or entrepreneur should be thinking about, not complicated tax code. And so having that experience has been very helpful in making sure we see, how do we support small businesses to grow? because these are the backbone of our economy in Texas and in America, and we have to be supporting them as much as we can. So that's been a great opportunity and things to work on in Congress. So I got elected in 2014, and I'm on the Homeland Security Committee, and I'm the chair of a subcommittee on information technology, cybersecurity, privacy, procurement, things like that. Y'all know the district is huge. From San Antonio to El Paso, down to Eagle Pass. 29 counties, 2 time zones, 820 miles of the border. It takes 10.5 hours to drive 80 miles an hour on that, that's not good, the number 2 guy in the house is calling me. So it takes 10.5 hours to drive from one corner of the district to the other at 80 miles an hour, which is the speed limit in 75% of the district. Realized recently that's not the speed limit in all of Texas. And one of the reasons that I ran for Congress was to be a leader on national security and the gold standard when it comes to constituent relations. Right? And so much of this job is about helping constituents fight the bureaucracy. It's about helping people, fight the bureaucracy who need the bureaucracy fought. And that is a huge part of what we do. And I don't do that alone. I have the awesome opportunity of having my name on the sign and my name on the door. But there's a lot of people out there that are helping y'all, and I want to introduce a few of those. First one is Stony Burke from West Texas. Yeah, give Stony a round of applause. I'm usually yelling at him, so y'all clapping for him is a good thing. Stony is from West Texas, an Aggie. I've known him since he was 14 years old. He ruined my life by suggesting I run for Congress, so I got to ruin his by making him my chief of staff. So it's great having him. Y'all heard from Danny Meza from Hebbronville. From Hebbronville, an Aggie. Had 12 years working for Senator Cornyn before he came to us. His experience, not only in the district in Texas, has been crucial to helping us get up to speed and be effective quickly. Right? Starting from 0 employees to answering hundreds of thousands of requests is difficult, and we did it in a very short period of time because of his experience. Tyler Lowe, where's Tyler? Tyler Lowe standing in the back. Aggie, got a few of them on the team. Spent a year and a half as a counsel for the Homeland Security Committee, which is important because of the Homeland Security issues that we deal with here. Right? Things like Stone Garden, which is important for your sheriff and your local law enforcement. And he did his lottery. Come on in, y'all. He did his degree in San Antonio, so it's great having him as part of the team. Jenny Tavares is here, probably taking pictures somewhere. Jenny is from Fort Stockton, went to school at Saul Ross, graduated from the University of Texas in Austin. We have a few Longhorns too. They slipped in somehow. Jenny is one of our field reps that crisscrosses the district. Francisco here is yeah, give him a round of applause. You've probably seen his face a few times. He runs our office in Eagle Pass and works a lot of this area. And so when you have concerns and questions, he's usually going to be your first point of contact. Henry Rivera in the back. Henry is one of our field reps and caseworkers. He fights the bureaucracy harder than anybody we have. So when it comes to Medicare issues, Social Security issues, he's the guy that is fighting on your behalf. And last but not least, John Arnold. John Arnold, 9.5-year Army veteran. He knows the insides and outs of the VA, and he works on all of our VA cases and military affairs issues. It's been great having someone with John's insights to help us leverage and fight the VA. Because here's the reality. Congress has funded the VA to the highest levels it's ever been funded. Fact. Anybody tells you otherwise, they're misleading. The reality is there's still a lot of problems at the VA. A lot of it's process. A lot of it's leadership. all right? I'm proud of the fact that last year alone, we closed out 242 veterans cases. These are veterans that are in the district that are having problems with the VA, benefits, getting things that they're earned, they're due, and your congressman shouldn't have to get involved. The process should work, but guess what? We do, and we will, and a lot of that's because of John. And the reality is I served alongside our men and women that put on a uniform. I know the sacrifices they make. I know the sacrifices their families have made. And we should make sure we honor the commitments to these people that were willing to put themselves in harm's way. We should honor that commitment. So we spent a lot of time on that. One thing I want to talk about, many of y'all should probably know and should know, the choice program, the choice card. If you're a veteran, you should know about it. If you know a veteran, make sure that your veteran knows about it. It's a program where, if you're a veteran and you have an appointment at the VA, and the appointment's going to be more than 30 days, you can go on the local economy and get that sorted out. Or if you're 40 miles away from the VA, you should be able to get that taken care of locally. Now, this program's been in about a year and a half. Problems at the very beginning when it was started. Local providers, local healthcare providers were providing service. They weren't getting reimbursed by the VA. So it was hard for people to participate in this program. Right? TriWest, which is a company that administers this program, started out about 200 people. Now they have about 3,000. So their customer service is getting better. Getting healthcare providers involved in the system is getting better. There's still a long way to this program being perfect, but it's a way to make sure that our veterans have all kinds of tools in order to get the care that they want. Another program we're doing, a lot of our veterans in rural areas have to drive 3 hours to get to an appointment. And that appointment may be as basic as drawing blood. Right? So you have someone who's incredibly ill, spending a lot of time in the car, waiting around in a clinic. Makes no sense. So we're working on a pilot program in Del Rio, where for basic services, getting blood drawn, basic tests, they can do it in Del Rio, and those tests are going to be sent to the VA. So that prevents that veteran from having to travel such long distances. And the goal is to get this to work and then export it, across the state and the country. The VA is never going to move as fast as I want the VA to move, but part of our responsibility is continue to put pressure on them. And the reality is this: if one person's having a problem, then thousands of people are having the problem, right? And if we can fix that problem for one person, then we can figure out how to fix it for everyone, right? And that's how we attack many of these problems. And these are some of the things that we're doing to make sure we honor our commitment. Washington is indeed a bit of a circus, right?
Quite a bit.
But you can't believe everything you see on TV and read in the newspapers. Right? Some successes have happened. Lifting the ban on exporting crude. It's a big deal. Happened this year. When I started in Congress, and the first week I was there, I asked about this. People are like, shh, don't talk about this. It's a sensitive topic. Henry Cuellar and I, Henry Cuellar from Laredo, also from San Antonio, he does a lot of work for San Antonio as well, worked with the Department of Commerce to allow swaps. That's swapping, heavy for light crude between us and Mexico. Makes sense. Mexico should be our partner in energy. We got that done. Then, we were involved in helping lift a ban on exporting crude. Doesn't have an immediate impact on the price of a barrel of oil. But what does this do? It allows us to send our energy to places like Eastern Europe. Right? This is what's going to ultimately break the back of OPEC. This is what's going to make sure that we continue to lead in the world when it comes to energy. The reality is, though, we need folks in elected office in this administration that are going overseas with some of our companies to talk about building relationships in Eastern Europe. Because the Eastern Europeans, they want to buy energy from us, not Russia. Because Russia uses their energy policy as a tool to keep people under their thumb. Right? But the way some of these agreements are usually made are government to government. Our system is not built that way. But we need some of our elected officials, we need people from this administration, from Commerce, from the Department of Energy, going to these countries and saying, hey, working on these deals so that we can start exporting more of our stuff over there. You want to put Vladimir Putin in a box? Sell energy to Eastern Europe. Natural gas, the big deal. Mexico has a huge appetite for natural gas. They're importing a lot of their natural gas from their west coast for like $6. We could be selling it to them for under $3, right? We should be partners with Mexico when it comes to energy. It impacts this town, I know it, and that's why we need someone in the seat that I represent, who understands the energy sector, who's supportive of the energy sector, because this is important to our economy and it's important to our national security. I represent about a third of the Eagle Ford, half of the Permian Basin. This is a big deal, right? And so we got to make sure we continue to lead on these issues, and it's an honor to be able to do that up in Washington, D.C. Another thing that happened in Washington this year, nobody's talking about, the SGR fix. None of y'all probably ever heard about this except for these two young ladies over here. We're pretty bad at naming stuff. We should have named this the Increasing Seniors Access to Good Doctors while Shaving $5 trillion off the national debt over 15 years. I know that's a long title, but that's exactly what it did, right? It made sure our seniors that are on Medicare are going to continue to have access to good doctors, right? It is a basic program. We also help make sure Medicare Advantage doesn't go away. My dad is 83 years old, my mom is 72, my dad has diabetes, a whole host of issues. He's in some of the best health in his life. He always says they should do they should erect a monument to him, right? Because of Medicare Advantage. We got to make sure these programs are around for our seniors and your seniors, right? And we're doing that. We're actually doing that. And that's happening in this Congress. Another thing, if you have kids, if you have grandkids, if you have great-grandkids, you should know about the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. This basically repealed No Child Left Behind, which both sides of the political aisle thought was a problem. So no longer is there a one-size-fits-all solution to education. Now it's up to the states to implement this. My fear is that we're going to have the states implement a one-size-fits-all solution to that state. That should not be the case. How we educate our kids here is different than the way we're going to educate our kids in Los Angeles or New York City. But guess what? Y'all know what's best. Y'all know what's best for your kids and for your grandkids. Your teachers, your principals, your superintendents know how to make sure we're educating our kids for our future. Because here's the reality. We have to educate our kids and grandkids for jobs that do not exist today. The technological change we're going to see in the next 20 years is going to make the last 20 years look insignificant. And we have to be ready, and we're not. Last year in Texas, there were 42,000 computing jobs. Those are jobs that require some kind of training in computer science, right? Not necessarily a 4-year degree. The average salary for each one of those courses, or those jobs, $89,000. That's more than twice the average in Texas. The problem is, Texas only produced 2,100 computer scientists. Even worse, only 5,000 kids in high school took the AP Computer Science class exam. That's the exam if you take it, you get college credit. Of those 5,000 kids, only 24% were girls, less than 900 were Latinos or Latinas, and only 120 were African American. Those are terrible numbers. That's only like 17% of the high schools that are able to provide these jobs. And we're going to need those skills. Our kids are going to need those skills in the future. Now, guess what? Superintendents, principals have the tools to make sure they're educating our kids. And we've been working with the private sector because guess what? There's not a bunch of computer science teachers, high school teachers, sitting around doing nothing. We're going to have to take some of our existing teachers that have a free class period and train them on how to teach our middle school kids and our high school kids coding. And there's private sector partners that are willing to do that kind of thing. And we're trying to make those connections. Big deal. Those are the kinds of things that passed this year, right? So You know, one of the reasons I come out here so much is not only talk about what's actually going on, because a lot of this, what I just told about, you probably haven't seen unless you're on our listserv, right, and getting our emails, or you know, if you're reading our Hurd on the Hill columns that are in the weekly papers, right. But I also came out here to hear from y'all. And before I take the first question, there's it's not a fish fry, is it a brisket? What are y'all doing? What's the VFW doing on 18th?
Brisket plate sale,
Brisket plate sale when?
September the 3rd.
September the 3rd. Make sure y'all brought, and you can do it where? At the
Right in
VFW?
our VFW post.
So make sure y'all go out and buy a couple of plates in a few weeks to support the VFW. I'm gonna stop there and take some questions, and then I may end with the story. Yes, sir.
Daniel Gonzalez, Denton County Attorney. One of the biggest concerns we have right now is this immigrant residence or detention center they want to bring into Dimmitt County. We need more transparency. We've got two companies from the Eagle Ford Shell that went upside down because they moved on, that have moved in trailers. We don't know when it's coming, if it's coming, and we're told that we can't do anything about it because it's just the way the government works. But based on what you told us today about your experience,
Yeah.
you know, we need to have more information about these
Yeah.
immigrant centers.
Yeah.
You know, we need to, as far as law enforcement, who's gonna be able to enforce the laws of these immigrants coming in when they escape? And who's gonna assist us? Who's gonna provide us with additional fundings to meet those needs? Who's gonna help us with the educational needs of our school districts, if some of them have to go to our school districts? Those are the concerns we have in this community. So how can we help us?
Well, whoever gave you the advice that there's nothing you can do is wrong. Because here's the reality. Yes, the Department of Homeland Security has sent out a request for information on additional facilities. But it's not just here, it's across the country. And because your city council passed legislation in opposition of this, the folks, Commissioner's Court, excuse me. Because the Commissioner's Court passed legislation saying you're not in support of this, this is one of those things that the Department of Homeland Security looks at about evaluating proposals. They haven't even evaluated proposals, and to what I know, proposals have not even been submitted by those two individuals that you're talking about. But the fact that you've stated as a community you don't want it here, DHS is listening to that. And there is no plans to bring a facility here. There's no plans right now, right? DHS is looking to build a facility somewhere in the United States of America, but other people are trying to get those contracts as well. And again, because y'all's community has spoken, this is something that DHS is not, you know, that weighs on the decision making when they go forward.
Follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead. You had some comment.
Is there something more that the community can be doing, or who should they address these concerns besides your office and the DHS or elsewhere?
Tyler, is there?
You know, I would just say, you know, we will pass along this message, make sure you're reaching out to Senator Ford and Senator Cruz's office. We'll just make sure they get that message that people in Dimmitt County don't want this here.
Yeah.
DHS has been very responsive to that.
Yeah, DHS knows. DHS is very clear that y'all are not interested in this facility. So that is from people that are making the decision in Washington.
Thank you.
You had a follow-up?
Yes, I do. I'm Janice Leonard, and we
Yeah.
appreciate you and your staff, all your work with veterans and those issues. We appreciate Medicare very, very much. However, we are being told that Target Logistics has a contract already in place for all the rest of their things, and that they do not have to abide by what we want here. They've already moved in lots of trailers, and that they are going to come in anyway. That's what we're all being told.
Yeah, that's what we're all hearing.
And plus, their sewer systems in both places, In fact, I think Stratton Enterprises has 2 suits against them. And this one never opened up out here, well, it opened for about a week, because their sewer system did not accommodate the people. And so we're concerned health-wise for our county.
Absolutely, and when DHS makes a decision, they're looking at, does that facility, can they meet those needs, right? And the existing ones don't do that, so that's even additional reason why DHS would not look favorably on this proposal. On the target logistics, they do not have.
They said they have a contract that applies
Time-
to all of
time-
their
time-
facilities, all of them.
And so what they do is they have, Target Logistics has the, I believe they are the lessee, and CCA is the lessor.
Right.
And so they had an agreement in Eloy, Arizona. And from that, they were allowed to go into Dilley for the facility there.
Speak up a little bit.
Yeah, we
Yes, sir.
can't hear you.
So they're off their initial contract in Eloy, Arizona, allowed them to open up the facility in Dilley, which the city was supportive of that at the time when that opened. The city administration, there was support there.
So it's not true because they have that one, they can just come in here with
Well,
that.
there is a way, it's called an intergovernmental service agreement, is what they use to have a third-party city sponsor the facility in Dilley to make that happen quickly. With 2 differences. One, in Dilley, the city administration was supportive at the time, so DHS was like, okay, we've got the green light from the city, we've got the players in place, let's speed this one through the process. The difference being here, one, as the Congressman said, you all have expressed that you're not supportive, and we're passing along that message. And that's the key message to keep passing on. You don't want that. The other thing, with those ISGAs, intergovernmental service agreements, DHS is starting to move away from those because they see the problem that comes up of, oh, wait a minute, we've got a third-party city sponsoring what's going into someone's backyard.
And if you read their criteria, if they have students that they designate special needs, guess where they're gonna go? And our teachers are really concerned, and what we wanna know is if you will put pressure on these people to keep this out of here, because we do not want it here. No, I mean, the majority of people do not want it.
DHS is not interested in coming into a community where they're not wanted, right? And we've already established that the facilities that are not up to par to provide these kinds of services, right? And so there has not been a decision even made by DHS on whether they're going to expand into, or whether they're going to expand in general, right? Because there's also funding issues for the Department of Homeland Security on whether they're able to do that. So trust me, I'm very aware of this. As you can tell, Tyler knows his P's and Q's. Y'all keep continuing to update us on if you see any movements on the ground, and we're going to continue to take this message onto the Department of Homeland Security. Yes, sir.
Now I got a question, because you said that the facilities weren't up to par. What's to stop them from bringing in the 200, 300, 400 people without saying anything and meeting with only the people that can't fit in there?
Well, they don't have a contract.
They have a pre-existing contract, isn't that what we just talked about?
Yeah, but DHS would have to approve that extension, and they haven't, and they're not going to. Right?
Well, you can understand our suspicion of lack of trust in the
Absolutely.
government. So what's to stop them from actually doing it without?
I get that, but that's not the situation that we're in right now. Right?
At the moment, but tomorrow it changes.
Yeah, but that's why y'all continue to have conversations. That's why we're going to continue to talk to DHS as we see DHS go forward with their contract to fulfill their needs. We're going to see, is that impacting, or are they even considering, something
we found out about this like 10 minutes before the meeting, in a matter of speaking.
Say that again?
We found out about all of this, about the camp coming up within 24 hours of the meeting, most of us. What's to stop this from happening the minute before they walk in?
They do not have a contract for this with DHS, right?
Not yet.
Right.
Send them to Martha's Vineyard, it's beautiful over.
Send them anywhere.
Yeah.
Or Pelosi's hometown, or Harry Reid's hometown.
The first quarter, they were paying $90 million. I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah, I don't know. We can follow up. We can follow up and
And
get you an
then we were
answer.
talking about veterans, $90 million
Yep.
instead of this. And so we want this stopped.
Yep.
these people, and I'm sorry, I feel sorry for them, my heart breaks for
Yeah.
them, but they need to go.
Again, the community has done a great job of articulating your concerns and your opinions, right? And continue to do that, right? Continue to do that. And like I said, this is, I'm on the committee. We've talked to the right folks. We understand your concern about a bait and switch, right? But that's why we're going to continue to monitor this.
I mean, if the government's willing to pay this money to help these people who are coming into our country, why not help our gentlemen here who
No,
fought for our country?
absolutely. You know, I agree. That's a large conversation. Yes, sir. Next question.
Last night on the news, San Antonio news station reported that they are closing down Hurd City and the Dilley facility. But it's like, why are you reinventing the wheel? We've actually been on the Dilley facility, we've seen it, and, I mean, it's pretty elaborate. They've got a lot of things. It's like, why are they going to, there's rumors closing it down, closing Hurd City, it's like, you invested all this money, why are you?
The paper said they weren't gonna close it. The paper said they're not
And
gonna
again,
close it.
and again.
Well, San Antonio news last night before.
Oh, last night? Okay.
Yeah, they reported last night they're going to close.
It was in the paper.
So my job is, when y'all hear some of these rumors, let us know. We'll run them down and get y'all what the current state of affairs in the play is, right? And so, again, one of the reasons I come down here and talk to people all the time is to hear y'all's concerns, right? And again, y'all have spoken very loudly on this topic. And honestly, you're a model for other communities across the country that are against and do not want to see these kinds of projects coming through. Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, of course.
Keep working on the veterans situation. They still need some help with that little medical card that they use for going to the doctor here, right? And I was asking Hector if they can go to the emergency room with that little card if they need to.
So you can go to the emergency room, right, John? But you have to notify the VA within 24 hours of being in the emergency room. And one of the things that what we're always trying to collect is feedback from our veterans on things that you wish you would have known or didn't know, so that we can promote that to other folks. All right. So did you have? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one of our main concerns is like, let's say you have the clinic in Laredo, it's just the first aid clinic.
Yeah.
Really, it's all it is. The closest one to us, I got a heart disease.
Yep.
Right? If I needed to see a cardiologist, they're gonna send me all the way to Corpus. And then our travel pay,
Yep.
worse, what gasoline is worse right now.
Right.
Right? As you were saying a while ago, you stated that you're gonna open it in Del Rio. That's still 105 miles away from us.
Right.
I mean, why couldn't evaluate Laredo's clinic, for any kind of special disease? I mean, oh yeah, you can take care of a cold there in Laredo,
Yeah.
but that's about it. But if you got your diabetes, you want to see a diabetes doctor, they're gonna say go to Harlingen or Corpus, or because we belong to the Gulf Coast region, right? And then you try to transfer to San Antonio, which is a different region, and it's a little bit closer, it's 120 miles from us. They won't take it, because we belong to.
So that issue on the transfer, John, right? That's something because there was some folks, some counties that were supposed to be switched from Laredo to San Antonio, from San Antonio to Laredo. And if you want to go to either one, you contact our office and we can sort that out. If you prefer to go to San Antonio over Laredo.
Yeah,
John, you want?
I've done a lot of those for folks in Eagle Pass that used to go to San Antonio and they got transferred to Laredo or Harlingen, and they liked their doctor in San Antonio and wanted to keep going. I can get that fixed. The caveat with that is the VA is only going to pay you travel to the nearest facility. So if Laredo is closer, they'll pay you to travel to Laredo, even if you're going to San Antonio. I just want to put that out, but I can fix that. I just need names, and for you to fill out a privacy release form, which I have.
I might like to add a little bit to that. When that program first started, I went to the emergency room in Carrizo. I had walked into an air conditioner out the week, so I went to emergency, and the VA wouldn't pay the bill because the billing didn't get submitted within 30 days. And the reason that it get submitted within 30 days, it had been submitted, but because they didn't have my medical records to transfer over to the VA, I had to pay this bill, they wouldn't pay the bill. So it's like,
Yeah, so on these specific issues, see us afterwards. We need you to fill out some paperwork so that we can work with the VA on trying to resolve these things. And again, I hear this, cardiologists in Del Rio, cardiologists are hard to come by. But trying to figure out how the key, the VA should be looking at, what are the key issues that they're dealing with within their veterans population, and how can they make sure they get the resources in the right places, right? And so we hear that, and again, in the 29 areas that I cover, distances are a problem for a lot of people.
In other words, another thing in those white cards that you all handed, we'll take it to regular physicians here, and honestly, they'll declare it. We won't take it. Too much paperwork and too long a time. I was going to take it 6 months before I get my money. That's what the doctor will say.
Again, we've heard this concern, especially early on when the program was starting, when Tri-West only had 240 people. Now they have 3,000. So if there are healthcare providers here locally that aren't involved in the choice program, and you think they should be involved in the choice program, let us know so that we can connect them with the right folks within Tri-West for Tri-West to reach out proactively to get them involved in the network. Because you're right, you can't just show up and show your choice card and they're going to take it. That person, that clinic or that doctor has already had to be part of the program before they accept the choice card. So if there are those examples, because that's the other conversation I'm having with healthcare providers, is saying, we need y'all to participate. Yes, we heard these concerns, but the VA and Tri-West have been working to try to sort those out.
One of
Yes,
our
sir.
problems here, Will,
Yeah.
is our local VA representative in the county. It's a political appointment by the county, and I've never been able to get a hold of him or have him contact me. I
That's
think
right.
we need to try to do something about getting out of VA.
I'm not the only one.
Representative here that will talk to him.
Let's chat after this, all right? And also, you have someone that's willing to fight for y'all. That's me, that's John, that's our whole team, right? And so that's, again, if there are specific problems, the way we resolve those specific problems is we need y'all to fill out some paperwork to allow us to inquire on your behalf, and that we can figure out how to solve that problem for individuals, right? So, last question.
I have personal experience dealing with the Tri-West choice program. And I would say some of those emergency rooms like I did with chest pain, they denied payment for it because I didn't get prior approval to go. But when I called, they weren't even open for business. I said, you can wait for 3.5 hours and then there'll be someone there before you can take a phone call. Should I consider, for most people, chest pain is kind of an emergency?
Absolutely, you don't need to call me, you're not calling me in advance.
It wasn't paid like the collections because I didn't get approved to go.
So-
I didn't make an appointment for an emergency that happened at a set day.
No.
And that's absurd in my opinion.
It is, and I completely understand your frustration because you're not gonna, you don't schedule chest pains, right? And so in your specific case, we'd love to hear more details when we go back. But the way the program works now, that if you go to the emergency room, if you're supposed to notify the VA within 24 hours of going to the emergency room, all right? And that's how you ensure that you get payment through the program. So I'm going to end with this, and we want to hear some of these individual stories. Yes, sir.
So I have a question. It should be a short one, not more than an hour. I went to the VA and I had a little problem, so they couldn't take care of me there, so they tried to get a specialist for me, and they gave me a voucher. Okay? I don't know what a voucher is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to this specialized, well, I looked for specialized physicians in this area, and all the physicians that I've contacted would not accept vouchers from the VA, and I asked why. They said, well, because it takes too long to pay.
Yep.
That's right.
Let's stop that deal.
I've heard that story in almost all 29 counties, and that's something that when we're engaged with the VA, that we have to solve, because this program won't work if they're not paying their bills, right? And Tri-West has they have problems. They have problems as well, right? But this is why when we hear these stories, we take it to these folks and say, hey, here's the problem. Why did it happen? How are you trying to fix it? How are you fixing this so that it doesn't happen again? And so I completely understand the frustration. The VA is never going to react and respond as quickly as I would like them to, but that's why we have to continue to put pressure on them. That's why we have to continue to hear your concerns and understand these specific cases, so that we talk about a specific case in them and not in generalities, so that we can make sure it gets solved for that individual. That's why we're here. That's what John spends all of his days doing, and we continue to do that. And I hope at some point in the future that we don't hear these kinds of stories, and that's ultimately the vision that I hope we get the VA to. I'm going to end with this story, and there's some private questions. We'll take a few before we have to get on the road. We got, yes ma'am.
My name is Yolanda Ortega, okay, and what I want to know, how come Congress doesn't let Medicare deal with the drug companies to lower the medications for the elderly?
Right. Well, look, we've been working on that issue. Some people's drug costs have doubled and tripled. And it's insane, especially when you're on a fixed income. If you're on a fixed income and your price of groceries or your price of your medicine goes up, there's an impact, right? There have been some changes in the Affordable Care Act that had an impact on that ability to negotiate those rules with some of these healthcare providers. You know, we had a hearing recently on this topic with some of these drug companies raising their prices at an exorbitant amount, like 900%, which is insane. And so that issue is being addressed. It was addressed in a way in this SGR fix that we talked about. Again, we know this specific concern, and we got to make sure that Medicare is able, that you're able to pay for the drugs that you need in order to stay healthy. And so these are some of the things that we're trying to, with reforms of the Affordable Care Act that are important. We got to make sure that there's more options, right? You and your doctors should be making your decisions on your health care, not some bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., right? And so I understand it. And again, when I look at the bills my parents are dealing with, you know, I see those concerns. So I wish I was able to take your bill right now and sort it out. But we're fighting to get some of those solutions.
There's a lot of elderly that they don't have the money to pay for the medication.
Absolutely. Look, you don't have the money to pay that. You don't have the money, if the prices of your agriculture, your vegetables are increasing, you know, there's an impact that EPA is having on, you know, these regulations that are making it more expensive to grow our crops. If it's more expensive to grow our crops because of government regulations, guess what? The price for vegetables at HEB are going to be higher. And again, when you're on a fixed income and that changes is happening, you know, it has a huge impact on someone like that. And that's why these regulations are so important. So I'm going to end with this because we have to get on the road. When I was early on in my time in Congress, you realize that when you're 50-50 district, no matter what you do, people are going to get upset. That's fine, you know. I have tough skin, and I've been critical of the organization I'm now a member of. Right? One day, I was supposed to give a tour in Congress, and I had never given a tour, and I thought this is going to be a pretty crummy tour if I don't know where to show people. So I called the Capitol Visitor Center, and I said, hey, can you send someone over to give me a tour? And they sent a young lady over to give me an hour tour. She was 67 years old. I've been giving tours for 17 years. And 3.5 hours later, she has me standing tall, and my chest is out. She had told me that I was one of 20,000 people that have ever served in Congress. That's a freshman class at Texas A&M, the University of Texas. She told me I was connected to people like Sam Houston and Abraham Lincoln. And that I was also part of an organization that for 240 years has been exporting democracy all over the globe. Now, Congress has a long way to go to repairing the trust with the American people. But know this, it's a handful of us up there in Washington, D.C. that are fighting every day to earn and keep your trust, all right? And I want to thank y'all for the honor of representing you up in Washington, D.C. God bless y'all, and God bless the United States of America.